Good morning, everybody. Today I am going to read you guys a story by a famous author named David Sedaris. Excuse me. He is known as being famous in the genre of humorist, which means that most of his work has got a very high comedic value and is quite funny. He has been writing for The New Yorker since 1995, and in 2001 he actually won the Time magazine's Humorist of the Year award. So, as we are going to write our own personal essays, I want you to see that they don't all have to be doomy and gloomy and about something extremely serious, but I want you to see that there is a space for comedy in the world of literature. So if you would like to write something on the lighter side, the funnier side, you are more than welcome to do so. And here we'll see some examples of how that can be done. Now, the point of this exercise is that we are looking at show versus tell. So you'll see that I have made some annotations, and I have also underlined when the author is using show and when he is using tell, so you can start to see it a little bit more clearly. So remember what we talked about on Monday, that the reason we want to show and not tell is because when we do that, it allows the reader to get more engaged in your story because they can use their imagination to imagine the things that you are describing to them rather than them just being told cold, hard facts all the time. So here's a picture of the author. His story is called Big Boy, and this is David Sedaris here. And as you will see after we've read this story, that this picture is actually quite fitting to the story. Now, it's quite short, so don't worry too much. And as you can see, I've highlighted show in purple and tell in orange, and I've put some little notes here of what they're actually showing us. Okay, so read along with me, please. It was Easter Sunday in Chicago, and my sister Amy and I were attending an afternoon dinner at the home of our friend John. The weather was nice, and he'd set up a table in the backyard so we might sit out in the sun. Everyone had taken their places when I excused myself to visit the bathroom, and there, in the toilet, was the absolute biggest piece of work I have ever seen in my life. No toilet paper or anything, just this long and coiled specimen, as thick as a burrito. I flushed the toilet and the big boy roused around. It shifted positions, but that was it. This thing wasn't going anywhere. I thought briefly of leaving it behind for someone else to take care of, but it was too late for that. Before leaving the table, I'd stupidly told everyone where I was going. I'll be back in a minute, I'd said. I'm just going to run to the bathroom. My whereabouts were public knowledge. I should have said I was going to make a phone call. I planned to pee and maybe run a little water over my face, but now I had this to deal with. The tank refilled, and I made a silent promise. The deal was that if this thing would go away, I'd repay the world by performing some unexpected act of kindness. I flushed the toilet, and the beast spun a lazy circle. Go on, I whispered. Scoot, shoo! I claimed a giddy victory, but when I looked back down, there it was, bobbing to the surface in a fresh pool of water. Just then, someone knocked on the door, and I started to panic. Just a minute! At an early age, my mother had sat me down and explained that everyone has bowel movements. Everyone, she said. Even the president and his wife. She'd mentioned our neighbours, the priest, and several of the actors we saw on TV and saw each week on television. I'd gotten the overall picture, but, natural or not, there was no way I was going to take the rap for this one. I seriously considered lifting this monster out of the toilet and tossing it out the window. It crossed my mind, but John lived on the ground floor, and a dozen people were seated at a picnic table 10 feet away. They see the window open and notice something drop to the ground, and these were people who would surely gather round and investigate. Then there I'd be with my unspeakably filthy hands trying to explain that it wasn't mine. But why bother throwing it out the window if it wasn't mine? No one would have believed me except the person who had left it in the first place, and chances were pretty slim that the freak in question would suddenly step forward and own up to it. I was trapped. I'll be out in a second. And I scrambled for the plunger and used the handle to break it into manageable pieces. All the while thinking that it wasn't fair, that this was technically not my job. Another flush and it still didn't go down. Come on, pal, let's move it. While waiting for the tank to refill, I thought maybe I should wash my hair. It wasn't dirty, but I needed some excuse to cover the amount of time I was spending in the bathroom. Quick, I thought, do something! By now the other guests were probably thinking I was the type of person who uses dinner parties as an opportunity to defecate and catch up on his reading. Here I come, I'm just washing up. One more flush and it was all over. The thing was gone and out of my life. I opened the door to find my friend Janet, who said, well, it's about time. And I was left thinking that the person who'd abandoned this man-made object had no problem with it. So why did I? Why the big deal? Had it been left there to teach me a lesson? Had a lesson been learned? Did it have anything to do with Easter? I resolved to put it all behind me, and then I stepped outside to begin examining the suspects. So now, as you guys know from doing writing workshop in my class, that when you do a memoir, or in this case, a personal essay, which are quite similar, you need to always make sure that you have some kind of reflection, some kind of significance, and some kind of conclusion to really bring the reason that you wrote the piece of writing home for the reader, so that they can understand how this memory or this theme in your life had an impact on you and why you wanted to write about it. So that's the story. Now you guys can go and have a look at the rest of the instructions for today's task. I hope that you liked the story. I personally thought it was quite funny. I know it's a bit gross, but it's definitely an everyday occurrence kind of thing. Then a lot of people probably have dealt with situations similar to this in their lives. So yeah, like I said, just consider the fact that you do not have to write something extremely serious, that it can be from a more humorous point of view. And I wish you all a happy Wednesday. Goodbye.